Hi, I'm Robert and welcome back to another edition of the High Desert Ranch channel. Today it's a little dreary outside. In fact, it's actually raining right now. Yes, we'll talk about that here in a minute, but it's the 100th episode, which I didn't realize that, and we as humans like to celebrate these kind of milestones and things like that. So why should it be any different here on the ranch in the high desert at over 6,000 feet? So I'm gonna do something special for you guys. I'm gonna do a little year in review on the ranch here in 2022. A lot happened, so if you're new to the channel, watch this video, and after you're done, I'll have a link to a couple of my favorite videos, but there's plenty of other videos to look at and that I've organized. And also too, because I do this channel for you guys, I'm gonna propose, or I should say, I'm going to present to you the ultimate feed calculator. Yes, that's right, the ultimate feed calculator. And there's some pretty cool stuff when it involves with that, which can figure out anything when it comes to the ranch, whether you're a big or small operation. So come along and join me. Let me be your ticket to help escape the ordinary, only on the High Desert Ranch channel. It is now getting chilly. When I pulled up to do chores this morning, it was 37 degrees. Yes, very warm. But as you can see behind me, and even over there, up over there, it's definitely not raining. Over 11,000 feet, it's definitely snowing, and we need the snow bad here. We haven't actually gotten a lot of snow this winter. We do stay cold. Not cold like it's been for some parts of the country with that winter storm that came through. I'm gonna get behind the, see if that works better, the shade, or in the shelter of the haystack. We haven't been 30, 40 below like some of you folks here in the country. We are lucky like that because we're right here in the Intermountain West, like literally on the spine of the mountains. So we don't get that cold Arctic air like they do in the plains and things of that nature. We do get cold, believe it or not. Here at over 6,000 feet, we do kind of sit in a bowl, and in fact there's two places here in Utah, one just north of here. It's a 10-minute drive. It has an oddly specific record. It is consistently the coldest here in the lower 48 states. It also is just a big giant bowl, so all that, the mountains around it, all that cold air sinks. And when I drive up north to do things and to pick up things, it's amazing just to see how cold it can get consistently. Before this, you know, it's in the below zero almost continuously at nighttime, and the days it doesn't get that much warmer either. So while the rest of the country was dealing with cold, that's just kind of a fact of life around here as far as the consistently cold temperatures. However, this has kind of been the anomaly. While the rest of the country has been in an Arctic freeze, we have had like spring-like temperatures. In fact, a little bit muddier than I would have liked. As you can see, this is kind of what we see in springtime, like March, but we're seeing right now. But inside it's dry where the hoggies are at, so that's always a good. So we've been in the upper 30s the last couple days, and even this morning we hit 40, and now things are starting to cool down as we finally get a snowstorm that's coming in. It's supposed to drop upwards of possibly 2 feet here. They're calling for 1 to 2 feet by the end of this week, so we'll see what it brings. We'll take what we can get, especially up in the mountains, as we rely so much upon the snowpack from these storms to sustain us through the warm summer months here in the high desert. Someone asked me about what the pens look like in the wintertime. They're nice and dry. It's muddy, but where they sleep is nice and dry. Whether it rains or snows, right now it happens to be raining. But a lot has happened here in 2022. Like I said, some of the videos that I'm going to post, they like all these hog pens behind us, or behind me right here. These weren't here in March. March is actually when we started constructing these pens here. We only constructed 2, and then we've expanded to now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 hog pens now. So we're hoping that 2023 will be kind of a banner year for us. Possibly even do some more hog pen expansion. We'll see. We'll have to see. the stamina and energy that Shane and I have, as long as a few other factors. But so that's been a big deal. For those of you that are new to the channel, this is a 5th generation ranch that here in central Utah, my my pioneer ancestors actually helped to settle this valley, and they were given some property by the governor of Utah at the time, after a treaty was made with the Indian chief, Chief Sandpitch here. And so that land is still part of in the family. And then my grandpa, who lived to into his 90s, acquired other properties around here, properties that didn't make sense to me when I was younger, but now that I'm older, it's amazing to see just how strategic of locations that he chose to make the most of his very limited dollars. He wasn't a man of many means, and he had to work very hard as his father died when he was a teenager, and lived through all that Great Depression time period. And so life was hard for him, but I'm amazed at the things that he was able to accomplish and the legacy that he's left. And now it's up to me, and then even my aunts and uncles, to decide the fate of the ranch. And so that will be interesting to see how that all shakes out here in 2023. We did get some cows again, as you can see. My grandpa hadn't raised hogs in years, and in fact it had been about 2 decades since he had a large hog operation. And even since then, some things have changed as it relates to feeding the hogs, and as sadly as the small mom and pop dairies have shut down here around the valley. There used to be dozens of dairies, now there's only one, and unfortunately it's heavily subsidized by us, the taxpayers. So but yeah, so we have some cows. We took a couple to butcher, and we'll hopefully be picking up more. Shane's trying to work on that, getting some late calvers, mainly steers. There's a couple of heifers that will help to grow the herd. Excuse me. So a lot has happened, and it's one of those things of I'm like kind of like my grandpa. I'm a man of limited means. I've got 5 children, so mouths to feed, things like that. And just when you're doing a ranch or anything with animals, especially cattle, it's a heavy upfront investment, and then the payout's a little bit longer term. The hogs, on the other hand, there is some upfront cost, but there is some quicker payout, only because the turnaround time, their life cycle is a lot faster. 6 to 7 months is what you're looking at. So yeah, there's been a lot of things that I've learned with the irrigation. We have, for a lot of folks that might be watching this, we are here in the high desert. In a good year, we'll get 14 inches of total precipitation. That even includes the snowfall. We have some of the driest snow here on Earth. In fact, I think there might not be any other place in the world that has drier snow than we do. A little bit further south, the moisture content is in the single digits as far as snow. So we can get a foot of snow, and depending on the conditions, we might get a 1/4 inch of total rain. If you're to take that foot of snow, melt it down, we'd have maybe a 1/4 inch worth of rainfall. So it's one of those things that we rely heavily upon irrigation from our mountains up top there, and even some of the summer rains that we help catch in some of these irrigation ponds. So it's been a big learning curve for me, learning about water turns, both pressurized and flood irrigation, taking some of those water turns at 4 a.m. in the morning, and then the turns end at midnight, things of that nature, or switching what parts of the field get watered depending on how long of a water turn you have and just how much water is coming down that ditch. So that's been quite a learning experience for me. I'll post some of those videos too down in the description below, but so you can watch. And again, feel free to watch any of the others. There's 99 others besides this one. Kind of a cool thing. I never thought I would get this far or take my YouTube channel so seriously, but it's the comments and emails that I get from you guys that keep me going, because I've done this channel to help you all, And so, speaking of helping you all, and in honor of my 100th video, let's move on to, before it gets too rainy. It's supposed to keep raining till a little bit later in the early evening, and then it'll finally switch over to snow. And fingers crossed it will switch over to snow. No, I'm sure it will. So let's get on to the ultimate ranch feed calculator. All right, so I hope you all can hear me. I've tried to get out of the wind as best I can, but we're gonna do the power of the X as far as this feed calculator. And I'm even gonna have a graphic probably over here or maybe right over my head, so you can see just exactly how to compute this. And so you're basically, this is a great way to determine your protein content that you're gonna have for your feed, because especially here in the winter time, in order to keep your animals warm and for proper nutrition and weight gain, you're going to need to have your weight, your proper protein content amount. And sometimes trying to figure that out, especially when you're a small operation, but even a big operation, applies to all operations of all sizes, that feed is going to be one of your largest input costs. And so if you can find ways to make your own feed, or to blend feeds together to feed different types of feed in different amounts to achieve your protein content, that's how you're going to save your most money. So if you're ready, let's go. I'm gonna do simple arithmetic here because I like to keep things easy. So we're going to deal with two protein sources. I'm not going to name what they are because it depends on what you want to do, but what you need to know from your two sources of feed: your primary feed supplement, and then your primary feed, and then your supplementary or secondary feed supplement. You need to at least know the base content of those protein sources, which is pretty easy to do, depending on what it is. Whether it's alfalfa, you can either have it tested for a small fee, or the person you're buying it from might already have it tested and be able to tell you. Or if you're going to go down to the feed mill and buy something in bulk, they'll be able to tell you those protein contents of your feed. So with that in mind, what we're going to try and achieve is our 18%, which for around here during the winter time, especially with the cold temperatures, it's going to get even colder in January. In fact, January on averages are colder. It's colder than December around here in the high desert. So our target protein content is 18%. And with my with my primary feed, it's going to be at 14%, and then my supplement is actually going to be at 20%. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it through diagonally. That's kind of the graphic, to the power of X, our feed calculator to the power of X. We're going to run it through that 18% target protein. So what I'm going to do is take the primary feed at 14%, and then subtract that from 18, which leaves me with 4 down here. And then I'm going to take the 20, and then I'm going to subtract 18 from 20, and that leaves me 2, which gives me a nice ratio of 2 and 4 added up to be 6. So these steps are important to follow. So I'm left with 6. And so in order to get the total percentage of the ingredient, depending on whatever I'm going to use, in this case I'm working in the amount of tons, I take for the total percent of the ingredient, I divide the ratio, which is that number over here, by the total, which in this case is 2,000 pounds, and then I times that by 100. I times both those by 100 in order to get my percentage. That's what I have to do to get my percentage. So in this case, the percentage out of 2,000 pounds is 33.33%, and then I do the same for the other one down below, and that leaves me with 66.66% of the total amount of ingredients. In order to quickly convert that to pounds, I simply just take that percentage and then times that by 0.01, and then I times the total altogether by 2,000 pounds. So in that case, of my primary feed, I'm left with 667 pounds, and then my supplement, which is the higher protein content, I'm left with 1,333 pounds worth of feed, which gives me a grand total of 2,000 pounds. Now, in order to find out, because this is important too, kind of a way to check your math is to then find out how much protein you're actually getting from each one of your feed sources. For my supplement, I'm getting 267 pounds worth of protein, and for my primary, I'm getting 93 pounds, that lower, for a total of 360 pounds of protein per ton. And the way I figure that out is I take the protein content, the original protein content of 14% and 20%, but I take them each individually. So I take 14% and then times that point by 0.01 to get my total pounds for each of my primary and my supplement, and then I add them together, and that's how I got my 360. And then if you want to figure out your total protein weight, well, you just take that 360 and divide it by 2,000 pounds, and that's what gives you your total protein. So I hope that was clear. Maybe it wasn't. It makes sense to me, but it's something that I find myself using all the time, and something that I hope will help you as you trying to figure out just to help it work here. Because whether you're a small homestead or a small little up-and-coming ranch operation like we have here, or you're a massive ranching operation, this is stuff they've got to figure out all the time, because otherwise your input costs will kill you. As I've preached throughout all my videos, input costs will kill you. And so if you can learn to control your input costs, you focus on 80% of your problems, or what is most expensive, and then don't worry about your 20%, because in the end, that's not going to kill you. It's going to be that 80%. So here on the ranch, the feed is that 80% of our total cost in the overall scheme of things day to day. So it's something that we use. It's something I hope that you can use. And I think that about does it here. I will be doing a January ranch update where we talk about some of the things that are happening. Definitely give you an update on this expected snowfall. We will be picking up some piglets, some more piglets from a local breeder here, just because we're not quite ready to go here with our breeding program. But I will give you a little update with Duran, the Duroc boar, and then Tammy, the sow, and then we've got a new gilt that she'll be ready to breed here soon. So some exciting things coming, even though we are entering into the doldrums of wintertime. Things are still moving here on the ranch, and there's a lot of fun things to be looking forward to, as well as things that you can learn. And I hope that you'll take this opportunity to like, subscribe, comment, leave questions, even contact us via email if you have any questions. And I am so grateful that you chose us to be here, to come along with us and find out just what it's like to live the high life here in the high desert of the Intermountain West, only on the High Desert Ranch channel.